Okay. So, hi, Dave. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. And yourself?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Okay,
Good.
Dave. So, how long have we been working? Did we start working in April, May?
We did. So it's around about a year now. It's
About
just
a
come
year.
year mark. Yeah.
Time
And it's
flies.
it does. It does, yeah.
Okay, so what made you choose Total Fitness?
A number of things. Total Fitness as the gym is a good one. It has the machines that I like, but mainly it's a well-run gym. It's close to home. It's 5 minutes away from my home. There are other gyms about, but they have pools, they have a track as well, and they have lots of different classes. So for myself and my wife, it was just ideal to go there, really. And out of all the gyms, that one is the most ideal for us.
Okay. I remembered that once I've approached you, uh, seeing you waiting for a class and you being the only one showing up and us starting to talk, you did mention how you were proceeding about your fitness. Could you just tell me, remind me a little bit about that?
Sure. I was um, going to classes alongside my wife. We were doing a hit class. We were doing all the kind of classes as well. And sometimes she would do a class that I particularly didn't want to do. So I would go on a running machine or I would go on a cross machine. And then I would spend an hour or so doing that while she did what she wanted to do. And then we joined up to go elsewhere. I enjoyed it. I thought that I was fairly active. My job is quite a sedate job. I sit down all day when I'm working. So going to the gym is quite important to me because I wanted um, some cardio exercise, and I just wanted to make sure that I exercise for my own good, my mental health and my physical well-being. And part of my job is I'm monitored by a doctor um, so that um, I have heart checks and once a year and so on and so forth. But I also have diabetes, which going to the gym is quite important for me to kind of keep myself trim enough so that I can control the diabetes. And it's always been difficult for me.
Hmm.
So being going to the gym was one of the main things for me.
Yeah. So when did were you diagnosed with diabetes? Were you around what age?
I was in my mid 50s, and it was discovered accidentally. Really, I went for the blood test for a different thing, and while they were there, they just tested for diabetes. And when I went to see the doctor, he said, "Well, you're okay for what we thought it might be, but are you aware you've got diabetes?" And I wasn't. So it was caught at a really early stage. I think my blood count at that time was 54 on the HB1C. So I wasn't very diabetic, but the fact was that I had diabetes, and if I didn't start to control it at that stage, it would have only spiraled up even greater because I had no symptoms. And likewise with most people, you don't have symptoms of diabetes. It's a hard one to kind of get your head around that because you feel good, but in actual fact, inside you, this diabetes is working away and can give you real harm, heart problems, problems with your limbs, your eyes. So most people are diagnosed when some of the damage has been done. I was lucky, and I've had that caught in an early stage.
Yeah, I can imagine living, thinking everything's okay, then finding the last minute that, yeah, you already had a condition that, well, would impact you severely if you wouldn't really do something about it.
Yeah, it's quite important, I think, for all of us to look at our family history, and if there's diabetes, to just say, I need to go and check. It's not the end of the world. If you've been told that you have diabetes, especially at any stage, if you go and the doctor says, um, hey, you've got diabetes, from that moment on, your life can change. You can really turn things around. And I was in my mid-50s when I found it. Had it gone on another 10 years without me finding it, then I could have had all sorts of problems that, as you're going into your retirement years, you don't need. Now I'm going to be a lot healthier for a lot longer. So I don't see the diagnosis of diabetes as a big problem. I'm thankful that I was diagnosed, because it's going to help me in the long run,
Yeah.
for sure.
So with coming into the gym, was that your way of just overall keeping on top of your health before you were diagnosed? Did your goal change after you realizing that you had
My
diabetes?
goal changed after um, I, I was in the gym. I most of the men that I work alongside, and women, I should say, that I work alongside, we are all aware that we kind of sit for long hours without any real exercise. So there's in the industry that I work in, there's quite a culture of keeping yourself fit, or trying to keep yourself fit. So going to the gym, has been part of that, because I've always been around people who do use gyms. Not everybody, but most people go and do some exercise, because we are, as a group of people, aware that exercise is kind of needed in our lives, really. Otherwise, we are going to get unhealthy. Irrespective of how healthy you eat, you still need some exercise. You need to get your heart rate up at least 3 times a week for a good 20 minutes or so. But ideally, you need to get your heart rate raised 20 minutes every day. And it's getting into that cycle, that and understanding that is kind of hard sometimes.
Yeah. So the first time that I meet you, I approach you, we start talking, and you tell me how before you have your tests, just see
Yeah,
where your health is at, you start bumping up your intensity and your frequency of fitness just to offset any time you haven't been doing or do.
that's right. Yeah, that's true. What had happened at the time previous to me meeting you, my results came back and they were disappointing. They'd raised to 50, and I was aiming around about 48, which is just in the pre-diabetes stage. But they'd actually between 46 and 48, I was aiming for. But in actual fact, even with going to the gym, my diabetes was going up. That's partly because of my age, and the diabetes is something that increases as you grow older. So I was finding it increasingly difficult to keep it under control. I was trying with my diet, and I was trying to go to the gym as much as I can. But even with that, the results weren't ideal, and my medical officer had in that previous time talked to him and said, you know, David, you need to do something else. So when I was at the gym thinking, well, what can I do? I was doing HIIT classes. I was doing all sorts of different classes, running on the machines, doing cross trainers things, running around that track. I was doing 5K runs, which I could do quite easily. But so I kind of thought myself as quite fit. And then I met you. And on the first time you had a boot camp, if you remember.
Yeah, I was studying a class, and you were the only
Yeah.
one that showed up.
That's right.
And I was thinking, like, okay, I haven't seen him before. Let's ask him, where is he at in terms of his fitness? Because I want to like make sure that I give him the appropriate intensity level just to accommodate him, to give him something he can do.
So then you asked me to do one of the exercises we did was a Russian twist. Do you remember that? And it was only a 5. I think it might have been a 2.5 kilo weight, and I was struggling with my balance, keeping myself under control. And you said to me, "Hey, David, you know, your balance isn't that good with your core." And it came as a surprise to me that in actual fact that was the case. But then looking back from that, it shouldn't have been a surprise because I sit down all day. So my core isn't going to be good or strong. And I do know, because as everybody kind of watches YouTube things or whatever, the main thing for good health and long life is if you keep your core, central core good, then it increases your life dramatically. Right? It really is quite important. And that day, on first meeting you, I realized that I wasn't as I should be. And I went home after that session. We remember you said to have a think about this, and I think I can help you. So I went away to see to think whether I needed your help. And at home, I thought, actually, I do. I thought I was doing everything correctly, going to the gym and doing things. But what I needed, what I realized at that moment was I needed guidance. And that's where you came in.
Yeah. I remembered that after the boot camp and everything, I did suggest that we try some strength training. So I think the first exercise that we did was an incline bench dumbbell press.
That's
Then
right.
we went over a few compound movements. And at the end of that, I think I did give you an offer. And you were like, well, you know what? Yeah, let's I'll definitely have a think about it. So fast forward a few months.
Okay.
We've been working. In those few months, what would you say was your biggest obstacle that you had to overcome?
My biggest obstacle was we taught we sat and we talked to each other and said, you know, these are the goals. This is what I want to do. I want to get my diabetes levels down. So for me, the biggest obstacles was reassessing my diet. So that was getting more protein in, because that was one of the things that you said I had to do. So those were the obstacles. Changing my kind of diet really, and starting to plan to come to the gym. I work away from home for the most of my life, which means staying in hotels and hotel food. And it is so easy to just take that with that meal, or just a bit more of this, or
Anything that's easy.
anything that's easy and fast, because you've worked all day, you go down and you eat, and then you go back to your room.
I'm tired. I deserve it. All that
Absolutely,
justification.
all those things that you've said. I've worked hard today, and this is a treat. I mean, after all, who can resist a sticky toffee pudding? But at the end, you've got to say to yourself, "This isn't good for me." I'm not saying that you can never eat them, because of course you can, but that was my obstacle. Kind of starting to say to myself, "No, I've got to take this seriously, and I'm going to change the way I look at things," because I really did feel at that stage that I was in a good place. It was only once I started the training that I realized that I wasn't where I thought I was, and I needed to work on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it kind of sounds like as you were going along your life, you were doing a couple of things to a degree of challenge, definitely. But after trying new things, you kind of realize where you are in relation to that world of strength training.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's right. I didn't look particularly overweight. I didn't look particularly anything. But I mean, I can. I wasn't embarrassed about my looks or my body in any way. But in actual fact, what you were looking at was a person that my inner core and my personal strength wasn't where I thought it was.
Yeah.
And that came as a surprise to me.
Yeah. I
Whether
think
you could call that a bit of arrogance, maybe, but yeah.
yeah. I think with us working together, we really did see that for any rotational movements, we did find that that was our weak spot. That I think we're addressing quite well, since I think we all know how many comments you get about lifting a lot of weight now.
Yeah. Well, where I am now to where I started, and when you were saying you're going back, when we were going back to the first bench presses or the first deadlifts that
Yeah.
was doing, I it was basically a 20 kilo bar with 2.5 weights on, and um, although you were teaching me technique at that stage, there was still it was still an effort to kind of keep lifting a 20 kilo bar.
Yeah.
So where I am now to where I was at the start is I'm just fields ahead, absolutely fields ahead.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
what is
today we did get a 120
120
and
kilos?
4 reps per 3 sets. I mean, they
Yeah.
to start strength training in your 60s and to
Yeah, I'm
get really close to
63.
63 and to start lifting almost twice your body weight
Yeah,
in
so
less
which is
than a year.
basically what that was. That was almost. And I know that by mid-year, uh, maybe the 6th or the 7th month, I know that I will be able to lift twice my weight. I know it because the buzz that it gave me this morning as
Oh,
I walked away from it,
yeah.
it was a real buzz, because by the end of the third go, yeah, I was tired at that stage, but excited, really excited.
Oh
And
yeah,
we
you
went,
perform really well.
yeah,
I was like thinking, okay, well, we can probably expect 1, 2 repetitions. And then I see you going for the fourth on the first and the second set. I mean,
absolutely, because you did say do 2 or 3. 3 would be good, but I knew I could do the fourth one on both of those. Yeah, absolutely, I knew. And had I have just walked away from the bar and given myself a couple of moments, I probably would have done a fifth one on the second, on the,
Yeah, and I think you would definitely.
yeah.
Okay,
So
so
it's fantastic to
yeah,
think that I can do that. Yeah.
yeah, and in less than 1 year.
Oh yeah, yeah. Less than a year. I I think I lifted my own weight of 65 kilos. Yeah, 65 kilos. Around about the third month that we were together. So
Yeah, I'd say
I was
so. It's around
lifting my own weight
the
then.
end of the second, the start of the third one.
Yeah. So, which is an achievement in itself, really. Yeah.
Yeah,
But what it gave me was a kind of a surprise. One of the things that surprised me is you start wanting to go. You know, you think to yourself, Actually, I want to go and do this." And um, I was away for 9 days in a row
yeah.
recently,
You
and there
do
was no.
go away for 5 or 6 days at one time.
Correct. I go away for 6 days at a time, and then I'm home for 5. Some of the hotels, if they're one of the top chains, will have a gym. So I will try and go to the gym when I'm there. This last 9 days I was talking to you about, um, there was no gym and there was no way to get to a gym. And by kind of day 3 to day 4, I was starting to miss it. And certainly by day 9, I couldn't wait to get home because I wanted to go to the gym. Yeah, I did. And it was, I want to go to the gym and I was missing it. So along with that, something else that you have done for me, you introduced me to an app for eating, and
Oh yeah,
just again the discipline of that at the start, where you've got to kind of log down food. I mean, you said to me, by the time you've got everything in your favorites, it gets faster and faster, and it does. And what that has done is it helps me make decisions, because I know that as I'm eating the meal or as I'm ordering the meal, I'm thinking to myself, what have I got on the app that that I know I need today, and you can quickly go on it and say, my protein's this, my carbs are this, I've got X amount of fat levels, so this is the meal for me now.
yeah. Just using the food diary apps. So what we
Yeah.
use is Chronometer. It's another app like MyFitnessPal. What it does is it kind of makes you reflect whenever you look into the food that you had, and kind of makes you make decisions of, okay, I got X amount of calories. What am I gonna have to fill that in? Because what it does, it brings you into the moment and it makes you, well, rationalize your decisions.
It does, and you use a good word there. I thought, reflect, because you say to yourself, "This is what I can do, and this is what I can eat now," and it makes you make good choices. It does, because it's really easy to look at the top of it, where you've got those 4 bars where it shows you your protein, your fat, your carbohydrates, and how much overall of uh, um, what you need for uh, uh, your uh, um, your daily needs for energy. That's what I'm trying to think. Your energy level, and then you see to yourself, well, I've got 65% of my energy has been met today. I can eat this,
Yeah.
and it helps you make those decisions.
Yeah. So I want to ask you about the heart stress test. So
Okay.
we've been preparing for it for quite a bit of time. And
Yeah.
when we started, it was a bit intimidating, if you can recall, going
Yeah.
at full intensity on a bike at full
Yeah.
resistance. Could you just talk about it a little bit?
It was something I really didn't like. I really didn't like. It was. exhausting, absolutely exhausting. Um, so I knew I needed to do this because what I wanted to do was have a really good impression on the heart stress test, because as I said the time before, my diabetes, I've been questioned over, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to change this. And then when I was going to go to the hospital in Manchester to do this heart stress test again, I thought, I'm going to beat this one as well. So going on the bike at the start was hard. And if you can remember, the second time, after the first time, you kind of pushed me with it, and I was exhausted when I got off. The second time, I really, I was thinking, oh, I think I can hear a fire bell ringing. Oh, we have to, we have to
Yeah.
ring the bill.
Oh, we have to
Because we
bike.
didn't-
Maybe let's not do that.
yeah.
No,
So
come on, let's go.
yeah, so we did, and then another evening, Kath went in to do some exercises in the gym, a class of something, and I thought, well, I'll go, and I just went on the bike, and that's when you walked. You saw me on there working as hard as I possibly could, and I think you thought to yourself, well, if he's prepared, because we called it the dragon, didn't we?
Yeah.
If
Conquering
he's
your biggest fear.
yeah, if he's prepared to face this fear, and that's something that I really didn't like. Then you came up and you worked with me that evening as well, and then from then on, progressively I got better and better and better, and then now, on the day that I went for that heart stress test, and they got me to lie down on the couch, and then they fitted me up with all the kind of leads and things, and then took my first heart trace. I was so chilled out because I knew that I had no fear. I knew that what they were going to do, I'd practiced for the last X amount of months and gone over the top. So it was quite easy. And then when I led down again, so that after the test itself, and then they monitor your heart rate dropping. The man doing the test, who's known me for quite some years, said, "Hey, David, this is great." And the letter that he wrote to about that was absolutely glowing. So that when that went to my doctor, I just know that there was nothing that man could say, and in fact he commented on it himself. So
Yeah, so you perform to such a level where you would have the people that were testing you to write you a letter commending you.
yes, absolutely. I'll not say the man's name, but
Yeah.
he was very impressed. But right from the start, when I walked in through the door of the hospital and went up to the heart
Corresponding person.
yeah, that I knew that this was not going to be an issue for me. Up to that time, every time I had gone beforehand, there was always a worry that they're going to find something, or they're going to say, this isn't quite up to spec. But from that time on, it's never been a problem. I don't look forward to them, of course I don't, but I know that they're never going to be a problem. In fact, I think they dread me more now, because I've got to go for 15 minutes, and then I said to him, so the last time I went over that stage, and now I'm going to just say, well, what did I run? What did I do this time? Okay,
So it kind of sounds like you are seeking even more challenges once you finish that
Absolutely,
one.
yeah, yeah, I do. Because it's not the big bogey man that it could have been. So I'm happy to do it. But I
Yeah.
do know that I can't just not sit back and say, oh, this isn't a problem. It is a problem to me. I've got not always, but you have to say to yourself, you have to do the work if you want
Yeah.
the
The results, yeah.
results. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
So
they are possible. That's what I want to.
yeah.
I'm up.
I mean, just seeing the contrast of whenever you started, well, we started working with preparing you for the hard stress test from the 2 or 3 initial uh, tries that we got on the bike, and you making comments or you expressing disdain for this exercise towards just hunkering down, just powering through it. Then even
Yeah,
now you're saying that you go over the amount of time that they ask you, and with the time that we're training. I mean, it kind of seems like a 180 to me.
it is a 180. It is a 180. I mean, I yeah. Well, it is. I mean, there's a huge difference from where I was a year ago. A huge difference. There's no doubt about that. And my wife sees a difference in me as well. And so it's all positives. There's no negatives about it, really. It is all positives. You can't get away from that fact, really. And the more you do it, the more positive it gets. It just it kind of feeds on itself. It just moves forward because you want to do more. I saw Mark this morning, but somebody else at your training, and I was in my warm-up phase because our appointment was at 10 o'clock in the morning. So I always get there 50, or I'm on the gym floor 15 minutes before I meet you. That's kind of me
Yeah,
there, that 50.
kind of
So
like
that
a
I
ritual
do
just
my
to
warm,
warm up, just
so
prepare.
I do my warm-up so that when you come over to me, I'm warmed up. So I've gone around the track once, and there was Mark doing his own work that you'd set for him on his workout, and I had to double take him. I walked past him and then came back to him because he's different. He looked different. His shape was different, and you've got to kind of walk over and think, "Is that you, Mark?" Like, I mean, that's the same thing. You know,
Yeah,
he
I think it's very important to find people that believe in the same things or try to seek the same things that you believe in. So I think with you, Rob, and Mark, like you guys, you really believe in hard work, and what I think thing why you guys get such crazy results is you just show up.
Yeah. If anybody said to me, so what do I need to do first? What's the first thing I need to do? The
Walk through the
answer:
door.
open the door, show up on time, and then let's take it from there. All right, that's that. If that is the only piece of kind of
Nice.
advice you could give to anybody, that is one of the most important. Show
Okay. So I got the last question for you.
up. Okay.
So what was your experience working with me on a personal level?
I think that you and I connected fairly, well, almost from the start. Um, and that was obvious. You take your own job really seriously. You read books. You go and get advice about things if you don't know it. That's quite important to me because I do the same thing in my job. My own job is very knowledge based, so I need to constantly go and find information and come back, and that's what you do. And time is important to me. It's always has been important, and so right from the start, all your values are the same as mine, and you show up just the same as I do. So there was always a connection there, and I can't thank you enough. That what you've done for me is amazing, really, because I don't fear going to go and see this doctor every 6 months.
Yeah.
And
No more dragon left the slain.
Dragon to slay. No, and I certainly don't fear the hospital for
Yeah.
the
I
test.
think we're mutually lucky since I think I've told this to Mark. Me having the possibility to coach you guys and just to go out, apply the knowledge, and then learn about you guys, what kind of issues you deal with, then be able to work on that, seeing what I can do, what you can do, and what we can do as a team. I think that's just invaluable.
Yeah, I think you're right. It is so important that you start on an equal foot with each other and an understanding, and that's what you did. There's no there was no fairness or kind of not getting straight into the act and saying this is what you need to do. This is how I can help you, and it's worked. It's worked.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay, Dave. Well, pleasure talking to you.
it's a pleasure talking to you.
Okay, then. Well, then we're gonna start lifting 140 in 2 months.
That's
On
what
deadlift.
double my body weight.
Double
If
your
I
body
can
weight.
do that, yeah.
All right, Dave. See you around. Best of luck.
All right. Take great care. Bye bye now. Bye bye.